Okay, so I've done a number of videos that talk about installing Windows 11 on unsupported hardware. This is hardware that has, let's say, a Intel 7th gen or earlier, or has TPM 1.2 on it. Now, in my videos, it tended to be a case where you're putting Windows 11 on fresh, or you're already on Windows 11 and you want to upgrade to a newer version of Windows 11, but not really having one where I want to keep I want to keep all my files and I've got Windows 10 and I just wanted to upgrade to Windows 11. I had some family members that recently really needed to move from Windows 10 to 11, but they wanted to keep all their same files, everything, all the programs. So we said, well, let's try using some of the techniques from those other videos to see if we can get you upgraded and work like a champ. And along the way, also learned a little something that I'm going to show in this video so that in case you get caught by it also. For this one, we're going to be upgrading a EliteDesk 800 G2 Mini. It's got, I think, probably a 6500T in it. I believe it probably has some sort of TPM in there, but we're going to run through the steps with it. The same steps you would use for a G1 or a G3. So, it's going to work fine in either situation. So one thing that you may want to do is download something called the PC Health Check. And you can go on Google or Edge. I'll include a link to find it. But if you run it, it's going to tell you what it thinks is wrong with it. So if I do a check now, oh, okay. So it says my processor isn't supported and that I need to have TPM 2.0. But what's interesting is it says TPM not detected, which is odd. It's like, well, wait a minute. I don't have TPM at all. And if I were to look under security processor, this is all empty. So something's happened where we don't have TPM at all. And you're going to need at least TPM 1.2 for the various workarounds to go through, or it's essentially the installer is going to say, hey, I can't install. This would be the same issue that would also come up in cases where you might have a virtual machine that's on Windows 10. And if you don't have it set up so that at least it has TPM 1.2, same sort of thing is going to happen. So let me show you how to enable TPM on a G2, G3, and also on a G1, so that way at least we've got some version of TPM there, so that as we go through, we don't have to think about it later on. So let's reboot. And what I'm going to do is hit escape as it's coming up and be able to pop into the BIOS settings. All right, here I'm in Startup menu. I'm going to go to BIOS Setup, Security, and then you've got TPM Embedded Security. And you notice here it says Hidden. We want to make it available. This version up here might say 1.2 on your system, might say 2.0. Mine just happened to be upgraded to 2.0. I purposely went in for this video and hid the TPM device so that way we'd be able to see what it looks like. Okay, so now it's available. We'll hit Save. Yes. Main. Save changes and exit. Yes. And as it's booting up, it should ask us to confirm that we want to enable TPM. Yes. So we want to hit F1 for accept. Now that we're in Windows 10, we'll give it a little bit here so that it can update the driver for the security processor. One thing we can check is if we go right-click and go to Device Manager, we now have a security device, where before we didn't. So same way, if I click here, go to Security Processor, now it's showing that at least I've got 2.0. And if I run my PC Health Check, it's still going to complain about the processor. But if I were to look at the rest of the results, I would see here that TPM 2.0 is on here. But at least I've got it. So yours might say, hey, you have TPM 1.2. That's fine. At least you've got some sort of TPM processor. Okay, so let's show you what it looks like on how to enable it on a G1. If your G1 complains that it can't find the TPM device, this is how you would go and enable it. I was just experimenting a little bit trying to turn it off, and I couldn't get it to turn off, but that may be because the system, once it's on, even if you turn it back off, maybe it's still there. But just in case you have a unit that where when you go into that security processor, it's not showing anything, you'd want to boot up, hit escape, same sort of thing. Come up here, go into computer setup, go over to security, and then system security. And then what I would do is enable both this embedded security device and also the OS management. So in order to do this, you have to set up a password, but I'll show you that there's a way you can set it up and then clear it out all at the same time. So I'll just hit any key, escape, set up password. I'll just give it something easy to remember. F10 to accept. Now I can come down here. I can enable that. You could set this as, do not reset and disabled. Again, if you run into issues, you could always reset it. I haven't had to do it, but mine again was already on. I'll come down here, I'll make this enabled, and I'll leave these three disabled. Hit F10 to accept. Now I can go back up to the setup password, because if you forget this password, you're going to have to do jumpers and all this other kind of stuff. So I'm going to put in my old password that I just did. I'm not going to hit anything for new and then confirm and then F10. And now I shouldn't have a setup password anymore. And then I can just do save changes and exit. And that's about it. Since I'm already in the G1, I've got the drive in there, we'll just use this as our guinea pig for upgrading to Windows 11. I ran the PC health check. Notice this actually does say that I only have TPM 1.2. That's the highest you can go on the G1. And I've got an even older processor, a 4th gen, a 4590T. So in both cases, I'm going to need some way so that I can run the install. So what we need to get right now is the Windows 11 ISO file, and because we're going to be mounting it and running the setup off of it. So if we go into our favorite browser, do a search for Windows 11 ISO, we want to come down here to where it says download Windows 11. We don't need the installation assistant or the create Windows 11 media. We're actually going to go straight to the ISO. So what we want to do is pick the multi-edition, confirm, and then we want to check and choose our language. And click on 64-bit download. And it's, let's see, it's almost about 8 gig. So depending on your, internet connection, it could take a little bit. Okay, so we've got our ISO now. One thing I want to do, because we're going to be doing an install over an existing Windows 10. I just want to show so that everyone realizes that your files are still going to be there. I'm just going to make a simple text file. We'll call it keep. And I'll just say this has some text. Save it. So that when we're done, we should come back here and we should still see that file. So here's our downloads. We're going to do a mount. That creates this sort of pseudo drive. This it can be different letters on your system, but it will jump right to it. We want to run this setup as administrator. Okay, say next. It's going to do this getting updates. Basically, it's getting updates, I believe, on the setup program itself. Okay, and you have to be careful. Sometimes you'll be sitting there going, oh, what's going on? And it's there. You just have to kind of click here and move it to the front. Now it's checking my PC. Let's see what if it's going to let us do the installation. Oh, no, it's not. We need TPM 2.0 and the processors unsupported. So, well, I guess we're not going to be able to do this. Well, no, we are. So hit cancel. I brought up one of my older videos that gives the steps as to what we need to do in the registry. I'll include this in this video so that way you don't have to go hunting for the other one. But essentially we want to run regedit. And it says here we're going to look for HKey local machine, and then system, and then setup. And under setup, there's something called MoSetup. Now, I haven't tried to see whether this MoSetup gets created by the normal setup, because I've always done these steps, run it first and then it fails and then I go in here. So just follow along and we'll be fine here. Okay, so we go to MoSetup, and then what we want to do is we're going to create this guy. Quite long, and we want to make sure we get it correct, so it's best if we can cut and paste. We want to right click, we want to say new DWORD 32-bit, paste in that long value, click. Okay, now we need to set it to a value 1, so we'll double click on it, type a 1, say OK. All right, now we can exit out of here. Now let's try running the setup one more time. Okay, looks about the same, going through the updates, restarting it. Let's look here. This looks a little different. We're getting a few, okay, well, let's see. We're still checking the PC. Let's see what happens. It went right past the, hey, warning, you don't have the right stuff. So we'll accept the license. And getting some more updates. If I haven't mentioned before, make sure that you are connected to the internet on the machine that you're doing the upgrade on. That way, if it needs to pull anything down, check anything, it'll be available. This seems to get kind of stuck at this 46% for a while, so don't be alarmed if you're there for 4 or 5 minutes. Well, for me, that 46% step took more like maybe 11 minutes. So, of course, I'm also on a G1. So you'll see how long it takes on your setup, obviously. Okay, so this is, it's going to come up. This is just letting you know, hey, yep, I'm aware that I'm installing Windows 11 on a system that, is unsupported. So I'm going to say accept and let it go through. This is just going to confirm that it's going to install. Now, mine is Windows 11 Pro because that's what I'm upgrading from Windows 10 Pro. Most likely, if you have one of the EliteDesks, it's probably going to be Pro, possibly Pro Desk. Could also say Windows 11 Home. It doesn't matter. It's just telling you what it's going to put on. And the critical is the fact that it's going to keep your personal files and apps. So I'm going to say install, and it will start going through process, goes through a couple times. We'll check back as it hits some of the major milestones. Okay, finished the real long stage at the beginning, and now it's working on some updates and going through. So we'll see how long this takes. That other stage, it felt like maybe a half hour as it ran through and did the updating. Well, we're back. Let's see what we've got here. Okay, this is good. We'll let this run. Let's see. This sure looks like it's Windows 11. Well, there we have Windows 11 Pro 25H2. So we're working on it. We're running on it. What I would probably do at this point would be to check to see if we have any additional updates that might be needed. So if I do, check for updates. Oh, not bad. This is just a preview, so we don't want to install it right now. But we now have Windows 11. Let's check to make sure that file that we created earlier is still there. There it is. Keep. This is some text. It even has a different looking notepad now. So there we go. Upgrading Windows 10 to Windows 11 on unsupported hardware. It works.